Hello, my name is Alice Mullen. I'm a field specialist in food and agriculture for the University of New Hampshire Cooperative Extension. This is part 4 of a series called Food Safety, a Marketing Strategy for Farmers Markets. In this session, we're going to talk about how to prevent cross-contamination and time and temperature of use. Cross-contamination is the transfer of a harmful substance from one food or surface to another through poor handling. And cross-contamination can happen in several ways. One is from our hands to food. So in this picture, it shows this little boy reaching in for the tomatoes. Obviously, if they don't buy them, he's cross-contaminated that basket of tomatoes. Another is from food to food. And in this picture, you see the raw meat sitting on the fresh lettuce and touching the tomatoes. And if those are used for a salad, they would be contaminated with potential E. coli or other harmful bacteria. And then the last way is through either equipment or containers or surfaces. And in this picture, you see that there's produce in bins, and I'm not sure if those are food grade bins or not, so that could be a source of contamination. And then there's also baskets of food sitting on the ground, and that could be another source that the food could become contaminated. So the best way to prevent cross-contamination is to keep everything clean. It's very important for you to wash your hands and practice good personal hygiene, and that was covered in the last session. It's also important to make sure that you clean and sanitize all your surfaces, equipment, and utensils. When it comes to cleaning and sanitizing, the thing to remember is there are two different things. Cleaning actually physically removes soil or food from a surface or a piece of equipment, and this is done by using hot soapy water and then rinsing, where sanitizing kills germs to a safe level. And this can be done by using heat, such as in a dishwasher, or chemicals like bleach. The thing to remember with sanitizing is it's different than disinfecting. Disinfecting is what you do on non-food contact surfaces like in your bathroom. Sanitizing, we're just trying to minimize the microorganisms to a safe level. To clean and sanitize, you need to follow a 4-step process. The first step, of course, is to wash in hot soapy water, then rinse with warm water, and then you want to sanitize. Now, if you're not able to put your equipment in a dishwasher, and of course there's a lot of large equipment that will not fit in a dishwasher that can sanitize it, you'll need to do that with chemicals. And that can be easily done by mixing up a chlorine solution. When you mix up your chlorine solution, you don't want to use really hot water because hot water will cause the chlorine to volatilize. Usually about lukewarm, about 75 degrees is perfect. Then you mix 1 tablespoon of bleach to a gallon of water. This will produce a concentration of 100 parts per million. But it's always important to make sure you check to make sure you've got the right concentration. So I recommend that you purchase some chlorine test strips from either a restaurant supply store or you can get them online. These are different than pool chlorine test strips, so make sure that they're for a restaurant. If your solution reaches that 100 parts per million, you're all set. If it's too weak, you might have to add more bleach, or if it's too strong, you might have to add more water. Remember, more bleach is not better. When you add too much bleach, you can cause a chemical contaminant to food. So you do want to make sure it's at that 100 parts per million level. You can also take that chlorine solution and put it in a spray bottle and use that to spray on surfaces if you want. Finally, you want to make sure you air dry all your equipment and utensils. The reason why we air dry is because if you were to use a towel, like a dish towel, that could cause the equipment to become recontaminated. When you're to prevent cross-contamination at the farmers markets, some of the things you want to think about is making sure your display tables are cleaned and sanitized. So before you place all your produce out on your table, I would give those a quick wash with some hot soapy water, rinse them, and then maybe give a spray with some sanitizer and let that dry. You could wipe it off with a paper towel. That would be all right, but don't use a cloth towel. You also want to make sure you use clean food-grade containers. Again, remember, all plastics are not food grade, can cause some chemical contamination to food, so it's important that you use food-grade containers. In the picture on the left, it does show some tomatoes sitting in a wooden crate, and that box is is difficult to clean since it's wood. So I would recommend either putting a plastic liner in there or switching it out and using one of the plastic containers that are shown on the right. You also want to keep your containers at least 6 inches off the ground. The reason why we want to do this, again, is we don't want to have contamination from soil or any surrounding litter or anything else that might be on the ground that could contaminate the produce. So you can easily get your produce off the ground by inverting a basket and then placing another basket on top of it, like where the cantaloupes are. But obviously the watermelons need to be lifted up off the ground. The other thing is you don't want to over stack your baskets, and that would maybe possibly cause the produce to fall out of the baskets onto the ground. If you're using ice to keep your food cool, you want to make sure, again, that you use it from potable water source. And the other thing is, if you're having food on the ice, you want to have it so it's not sitting in the melted ice water. It's best to have it up off the ice so it's not going to come in contact with that. And if you are using ice, you want to use a scoop to get the ice out, not your hands. Ice is considered a ready-to-eat food, so we have to minimize our bare hand contact with it. And one of the ways you can do that is by just using a scoop to put the ice in the container as opposed to using your hands. When you're packing produce to give to customers, it's very important that you use new plastic or paper bags. Sometimes people try to recycle old plastic grocery bags. And the problem with that is if those grocery bags contained, say, raw chicken or raw meat, if you put your fresh produce in there, it could be contaminated from the bacteria that might have been on that particular raw meat product. When you're serving baked goods, you want to make sure you keep them covered. You can also pre-wrap them, but if you should be serving them, say, from underneath a covered case, always use tongs or gloved hands to handle them. Again, baked goods are a ready-to-eat food, and you want to minimize your bare hand contact with them, so tongs or gloves work really well for that. For food that's in coolers, you also want to make sure your coolers are nice and clean and also sanitized. One idea that you can do if you're selling different things is you want to keep your drinks in one cooler, your eggs in another cooler, and then maybe any raw or fresh meats in another. That way, again, it minimizes the chance of it contaminating the other products. To keep food cool, it's important to remember that you want to remember the 4-hour rule, and that is that you don't want to keep any food, especially like meats or eggs, milk, in the temperature danger zone for more than 4 hours. The temperature danger zone is between 41 and 135 degrees Fahrenheit, and bacteria grows particularly well in this temperature range. Bacteria really like it when it's warm. So you want to make sure that you keep your food cold. So the best way to do that is to, when you put them in your coolers, to make sure you have lots of ice or cold packs in there to keep it cold. If your food is frozen, you want to make sure there's lots of cold packs in there so it does stay frozen. And another idea is to use a thermometer. This refrigerator thermometer shown on the right can help you monitor that temperature to make sure that the food in the cooler is staying at 41 degrees or lower. If you have any questions or want more information about this session, you can contact me at alice.mullen@unh.edu. You can also go to our website, and there you can find more information and fact sheets on food safety.